Okay, this is a video for Algebra 1. Today we're going to be talking about something called relations, domain, and range. This is actually a new unit, so go ahead on your table of contents, Unit 3, so 3 Roman numeral 3, domain and range. And the first topic is relations, domain, and range. We're actually going to talk about functions as well, and that will come in the following days. Go ahead and copy this. During today's notes, try to copy first and then listen. I will try to pause as needed. That way you guys are not scrambling to write whatever's on the board and then you don't even hear anything that's being said. So go ahead and copy this down first. Okay, just like always, this is our next page, relations, domain, and range. I did try to use marker this time. Hopefully that'll help with some of the visual issues, so you'll be able to see every single word, every single number. And this is going to be an 8. So go ahead and copy the title down, please. Okay, go ahead and copy this down first. These are just definitions. I'll probably pause here. Okay, so we have 3 definitions. We have relation, domain, and range, just like our title, 3 different terms. Some of you have probably seen this already. A relation is a set of ordered pairs. These are just ordered pairs on the coordinate plane, x and y. And then we have these two, which are really, really, really important, domain and range. You're going to see domain and range throughout your entire high school math experience. I'm going to go ahead and color code this domain for blue and range with red. I will try to keep these two consistent just so you can identify what's what. Domain is always going to be your x values and range is always going to be your y values. Notice that we also have the word inputs and outputs. I'm not sure if you've seen that already, but if you haven't, input is just what you are changing, and output is what happens when you make that change. If you don't understand that, that's okay. That's more applicable to functions. For today, all you're going to have to do is identify which of the numbers or terms are domain and which of them are range. Okay, so go ahead and copy this down, please, if you haven't already. Okay, we're going to do 3 examples today. The first one is going to be I call it the PS4 example. So it's a little bit more, I guess, relative to some of you, those of you who play video games. So we're not going to draw a whole PS4 console. We're just going to use some of the buttons. Okay, so PS4 example. Go ahead and copy this down, please. I'll give you some time. Okay, so on this side we have our 4 main buttons on our PS4 control. We have the X, the triangle, the square, and the circle. These are the command buttons. So this is what you usually press to do some kind of attack or move with your character. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and fill this side in now one by one. I'm going to make the X be equivalent to the jump. So in other words, when you press X, your character will jump. Let's make the square a dodge. Triangle is kick. And circle is punch. If you can't tell, I'm using kind of like a Mortal Kombat, Tekken type of game. Okay, so these are our command buttons. This is what you press, and this is what happens when you press those buttons. So if you were to label these, oh, there's one more thing. Okay, these are the actions. If you were to label these as far as input and output, which of these do you think would be the input? Which one do you have to do to make the other happen? Okay, hopefully you're saying, well, you have to press the button to make your character do one of these things. Okay, so these are actually the inputs and these are the outputs. This is how I labeled it. Since my inputs are the domain, I went ahead and circled this in blue and said, well, these are going to be my x values, which means these are going to be my y values. It's as simple as that. And this is what we're going to do with this today. Underneath this, we're going to first list our ordered pairs. Okay, and this is a real life example, so go ahead and copy this first and I will explain. Okay, this is a real life example, so you just pair them up. Okay, we put these little squiggly brackets, they're called braces. And these braces just mean we're going to list something inside. Okay, so my first pair is X jump. So I put that in a pair, X comma jump, and I put them in parentheses because ordered pairs always have an X and a Y. They always have parentheses. So just like that when I did the other ones as well, triangle goes with kick. So those two go together. Notice I separate them by a comma. Then I have square with dodge, same deal. And the last one is O and punch. So those two go together, and these are my ordered pairs. Okay, and just to kind of give you a heads up on the next part, let me see. I don't think I have any blue here, but I'm going to go ahead and highlight the domain ones. So domain, which are my X's, are going to be this item, this one, and this one. And then my range will be the other part, the Y values, jump, kick, dodge, and punch. And yes, I know you can see that. You can see that from here, from what we circled. However, sometimes you're going to be given just the ordered pair. You have to be able to identify it from there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, like you can see, I'm already doing the next part, domain and range. These are my domain, these are my range. And go ahead and copy this first and I will explain. Okay, when you list domain and range, it's the same deal. You put the little brace, the squiggly. I call it the squiggly, but you know, mathematical term is the brace. So we put our braces and we just list all our domain. Notice that all these are our domains, so we just have to put them inside with the comma after each one. If you don't have this bubble, this mapping, then if you will probably have your ordered pairs. So it's a little bit easier because all you have to do is look at the first term, so the X, the triangle, the square, and the O, and just put them inside the domain braces. Okay. Same for the range, except this is your Y value, so it's the second term inside the parentheses. Okay. Jump, dodge, punch, and kick. Any questions? Please let me know. Okay, this is our second example. Now we're going to actually use numbers. So for this one, I just made up some random numbers and I started pointing them towards some other numbers. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to label our ordered pairs, our domain, and our range. Notice that this one has two arrows for one of them, and some of these point to the same number. And that's okay for now. Okay? So here's how this looks. I want you to write ordered pairs, domain, and range. If you have color, use it because domain and range is a big, big thing. Okay? So go ahead and write this down. Okay, the ordered pairs. So for this one, and you don't have to do this, the highlight part, I'm just going to show you. We have 1, and it's pointing to 10. So that's one ordered pair. So notice that in my first pair, 1 comma 10, and I have it in parentheses. Okay, 1 is also pointing to 11. Okay, so that means I also have to list 1 and 11 because that's another ordered pair. When we get to functions, there's going to be some rules with this with what's happening here. But for now, all you have to do is list them. Okay. The next one is 7, and this one is pointing to 12. So 7 comma 12. Then we have 8, and that's also pointing to 12. So 8 comma 12. And finally 9, which is pointing to 11, 9 comma 11. So you're just kind of matching things here. Okay, and maybe you've done this before. I don't really know, but this is how you do this. Okay, and just like before, I'm going to highlight all my X's. So this is an X, this is an X, and so forth. These are called your domain values. Okay, remember X always comes first in the parentheses, and the other one is going to be your range. So this is a range value, range, or output, however you want to, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so when we do our domain and range, all you really have to do is look at the ordered pairs. Yes, you can look at this because it's already listed for you, but you won't have this all the time. Sometimes you will just have this portion here. So here we go. Domain, remember it was all my first values. So I have 1, 1, 7, 8, and 9. Notice that even though 1 is twice, like 1, 1, we don't have to write it twice. We only write it one time because, well, we already know that it's part of the domain. And even in our bubble, we don't write it twice. We just put the two arrows. So when you're listing your domain, if any of the numbers repeat, you just write it once. Okay? So there's our domain. You should be able to do the range, hopefully, but here it is anyway. Just like before, 10, 11, 12, and then we have 12 and 11 again, but just like the domain, we don't have to list them twice. So this is our domain and range. Okay, I'm not sure. I think I might have one more example. Let me see. Oh, nope, that's it. So we're actually done. This is a very easy topic. It's much, much easier than solving equations. I'll tell you that. Go ahead and get started. And actually, I do have a few announcements. I will probably say them at this moment.